This is Crenshaw, Briggs, and VT. We want the touchdown. We not trying to go for 3. And it's best if you get up out the street, cause them bulls out the pen and they about to stampede.
I think there's 2 definite long-term stars at quarterback in this draft class, and they're the top 2 guys. And then to me, the other guys are no more a sure thing than Jake Haener is. I mean, I think that you could put all the others in a bag and just kind of shake that bag up and reach inside. The most talented of them is Richardson, but he's also the one that scares me the most. It's a classic thing. Super high ceiling, super low floor. How risk averse are you? Are you willing to realize, oh my God, he's a more athletic black Jake Locker? Are you okay with that if that ends up happening? Because he's a guy that can do everything at times. At times. His footwork has been like a trip to the circus at times, right? And just like a trip to the circus, at times it's fun and exciting and everybody's all woo cheering. And also there's a time you have to clean up after the elephants. You get both of those things when you're watching Anthony Richardson. You both get cleaning up after the elephants, and you also get like a high wire act, beautifully executed. He does throw at times with touch and anticipation, but he also stares it down at times. He doesn't progress quickly enough through his progressions. He will definitely take risks that he should not take and throw some, oh my God, what were you doing interceptions? At times, linebackers are invisible to him. If you know how to deep drop your linebackers and they have good hands, you might have a linebacker lead the league in interceptions against him. I mean, there's some things he's got to work on. To his credit, he's working on them. He's aware of them. He's got a good sense of his weaknesses. Was there literally swapping paint with Stacey Dales, trying to get in position to talk to him at the combine at the podium. And somebody asked him about his strengths, weaknesses. He broke himself down actually very accurately. Some guys act like they don't have weaknesses. I give him credit. He said, I rush, right? He actually nailed it. He talked about how, my feet are too close together. He nailed it. Like, he really did a good job breaking himself down. But those things are not as easy to fix as people think. Oh, yeah, he'll just get some NFL coaching and boom, bang, alakazam. It's not that simple, people. He's played one way since he was probably 8 or 9 years old. You don't just wave your magic wand that all goes away. Will Levis is kind of the same thing, but less, right? A little less talented, not quite as broken in terms of his mechanics. But another guy who will literally just drill a defender in the chest a couple of times a year where you go like, what the? I mean, literally, it's like, huh. And the thing that kills you is there's a receiver running free on that same play, right? And so, like, wide open, just naked, as we say in football parlance. But you instead decide to just try to drill it in to the underneath, dig to the tight end, which was double covered, huh? That's bold strategy, Cotton. I don't think it'll work out for him. So you've got to break those guys down and build them up. Like that's a project. Hendon Hooker is a guy that would have probably been in the fight for the second quarterback off the board, if not for the injury. Allen, since we know full names here, Allen is actually his first name. Just like his father, Allen Hooker was a terrific quarterback. I got to watch his father at NC A&T. Unfortunately, his father was a black quarterback before that was cool. But now we get to see, just like with Kyler Murray's dad, right? Kevin Murray, the same deal. Black at the wrong time. But Allen Hendon Hooker is a guy that plays in admittedly a simplified offense, right? I'm not one read. People say one read. That's not true. But they do dictate the read, right? They try to make it so that you have a high-low, and you can take either one. Or you'll have, like I said, they run mesh a lot. They run a lot of like Y sail. They run a lot of spot routes where you should have someone either breaking free over your face or you can work to the second read. So it's not a one read. People say that one read off. No, there's no such thing as one read offense, but reads are dictated, right? It's this or that. It's binary is really what it is. But he does it well. He operates it at a very high level. And frankly, nobody's running, like the Elway offense that he ran at Stanford in 1983. Like nobody's doing that. Nobody is. So don't give me this person's offense. Now look at them all. They're all simplified, frankly, from what they were 30, 40 years ago. But his, because of the tempo, they are very up-tempo. They stay in the same formations so they can go so fast. So he hasn't had to work through some of the things that NFL quarterback has to work through. But he's very similar actually to Stroud, just in a even more simplified offense. But they're similar guys, physically similar. But one is younger, right? Stroud is significantly younger by over 2 years, so that makes a big difference. And so when people say, "Oh, Hooker's rising up the boards," well, one, no, I mean that's not how it works. Because the NFL looks at things differently than fans do, and the media does. When you hear someone's rising, it's just that the fans and the media are now catching on to where the NFL always was.
Gotcha.
That's when you hear someone's quote unquote rising. No, they were always there for the NFL. NFL boards change very little from the beginning to the end of the year. The only things that really make big changes, one, significant injury. That's when a guy will legitimately slide. Serious off-field stuff. That's when a guy will legitimately move. A guy legitimately moves up, like seriously, like more than just a couple of spots up. One is if he is dramatically better as an athlete than everyone thought, right? If he's not a little better, I mean dramatically better. And even then it's not, 50 spots. It's 11, 12, 13, 14, maybe 16, 17 spots you might move. The NFL usually knows what you are, even before the season begins. They've been looking at you since you were in high school. They know who all the 5 stars are, who the 4 stars are, and especially the guys that end up going to big schools. They know who those guys are. Some of the guys who are 1 and 2 stars, they find out about. Those are the guys they find out about. But they've been looking at, the big time dudes. I mean, Will Anderson was known to NFL guys, when he was 17 and a half years old. So those guys are on the radar, as they say.
Yep. And
you stay there until you do something to move yourself up or down, right? You start here, and that's where you will stay unless you move yourself up or down. So the whole thing about rocketing up boards, it's a cool thing to say. It's not a reality. It's not how things actually work in the real NFL world. If you're not drafting either Coleridge, Bernard, Stroud Jr., yes, right? I love that his first name is actually Coleridge, right? Especially as an English major, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, rhyme with Ancient Mariner. But he's right now the top quarterback on most teams' boards. Partially because, full-grown man, right? Over 6'2", 218 pounds. While people don't completely wipe you out for being, under 6 feet tall the way they used to, there's still a preference for the guy who's got a larger frame. And so there's a couple of teams that aren't there, and there's at least 1 or 2 teams that really like Anthony Richardson. But for the most part, everybody has Coleridge, Bernard, Stroud, boom, Jr. up there. And then it's a fight for 2 between a couple of people. Usually it's Bryce Young who wins it, right? Most of the time. But there's a couple of teams that don't have him at number 2. But if you're not taking one of those 2, you should probably draft defense, unless you are super sold on one of the other quarterbacks. And I'm not super sold on any of the quarterbacks. And I like some of the guys like, Dorian Thompson-Robinson or Jake Haener as much as, and I'm going to get them cheaper than some of these guys that people are pushing up into the, top 10. And I don't see those other guys as top 10 picks.
This is Crenshaw, Briggs, and VT. We want the touchdown. We not trying to go for 3. And it's best if you get up out the street, cause them bulls out the pen and they about to stampede.